The emergency beacon cut through space like a scream in the dark. Yala pressed her slender fingers against the communication panel, her three-fingered hands trembling as another explosion rocked the cargo vessel. The gentle current had been a peaceful trading ship just hours ago. Now smoke filled the corridors and the hull groaned under the assault of weapons never meant for civilian vessels. "Send it on all frequencies," Yala ordered, her voice cracking. The navigator, a young Luraxi named Pella, worked frantically at the controls. Their species had never needed weapons. For 3,000 cycles, the Luraxi had traveled the trade routes without incident. They were known for their silk-like fabrics and beautiful art, not for combat readiness. The pirates had come without warning. Raldic Syndicate vessels, massive and brutal, had emerged from the asteroid field like predators from tall grass. Their demands had been simple: surrender all cargo or die. Yala had tried negotiating. She had offered half their goods, then 3/4, then everything. The Raldic captain, a creature named Grisnak, had laughed and opened fire anyway. Now the gentle current's shields were failing. Yala could hear the pirates cutting through the outer airlock. Her crew of 12 huddled in the cargo bay, unarmed and terrified. The Luraxi were a delicate species from a world where the worst predator was a small tree-dwelling creature that ate fruits. Their bones were light, their skin thin, their strength minimal. Against the armored Raldic, they had no chance. The distress signal bounced off 3 asteroids before finding its path. It traveled through subspace channels, crossing sectors where no Luraxi had ever ventured. The message was simple: coordinates, ship registry, and a desperate plea for help. Yala had sent it blindly, hoping any civilized species might hear. 200,000 kilometers away, the signal reached the TSS Relentless. The human warship had been on routine patrol along the outer colonies, checking shipping lanes and monitoring for Concordat violations. The communication officer, a woman named Davis, jerked upright when the alien language filtered through her translation software. "Commander Grant, we have an emergency broadcast. Unknown language, but the computer is working on it." Davis adjusted her headset, listening to the garbled message resolve into clear words. "Sir, it's a distress call. Civilian vessel under attack by pirates. Coordinates are in neutral space, Sector 779. Owen Grant stood from his chair, a tall man with gray streaking through his dark hair. Scars marked his jaw, souvenirs from the colony wars. He had been in space for 23 years and his instincts were sharp. Distance: 30 minutes at maximum burn, sir. Do we have any intel on the species sending the signal? Davis shook her head. Nothing in our database. The Galactic Council hasn't shared information on most species. We're still considered outsiders. Grant understood. Humanity had only joined the galactic community 5 years ago, and the reception had been cold. The other species had observed Earth from a distance and classified it as a death world. They feared humans would bring violence to the peaceful trade routes. The Council had reluctantly agreed to limited contact, but shared nothing useful. Options? Grant looked at his senior staff. Lieutenant Harris, the tactical officer, pulled up a holographic display. "The coordinates are in unclaimed territory. No treaties would prevent us from responding. But, sir, we don't know who we're dealing with. Could be a trap." "A trap using an unknown language and civilian distress codes." Grant raised an eyebrow. "That's elaborate." "Could also be a test," offered Rodriguez, the Marine sergeant. "The Council might want to see how we react." Grant considered this. The Council had been waiting for humans to prove their violent nature. Every interaction was scrutinized. But he also thought about the voice in that transmission. The fear had been real. Someone was dying out there while he debated politics. "Prep the fleet. All ships combat ready. We jump in 5 minutes." Grant's voice carried the weight of command. "If it's a trap, we'll handle it. If it's genuine, we're not leaving civilians to die." The crew moved with practiced efficiency. The Relentless was a Titan-class warship, one of Earth's newest designs. She carried enough firepower to level a small moon, but her crew had been trained in precision. Humans had learned warfare the hard way, fighting each other for thousands of years before reaching the stars. They understood violence, but they also understood mercy. 4 other ships joined formation: the destroyers Swift Justice and Hammer, the frigate Steadfast, and the supply vessel Mercy. Together they represented humanity's finest. Battle-scarred, well-armed, and crewed by people who had survived Earth's brutal environment. Grant watched the countdown. 3 minutes, 2, 1. Space twisted as the human fleet entered hyperspace. Behind them, Earth's outer colonies continued their daily routines. Ahead, the gentle current shuddered as Raldek pirates breached the final door. Yala held Pella close, whispering prayers to gods who had never needed to hear pleas for survival before. Neither the Luraxi nor the Raldek knew what was coming. Neither species had encountered humans before. They had no idea that the distress call had reached the one species in the galaxy forged by constant struggle, shaped by a world that tried to kill them daily, and taught that protecting the weak was the highest honor. The countdown on Grant's display hit 0. The human fleet dropped out of hyperspace with weapons hot and shields raised. The real first contact was about to begin, and the galaxy would never be the same. Grisnak kicked open the cargo bay door with one massive boot. The Raldek pirate stood 3 meters tall, his armored body built for crushing and breaking. His species came from a heavy-gravity world where only the strong survived. They had turned that strength into a profitable enterprise, raiding the weak and selling their goods. Well, well, little birds hiding in their nest. Grisnak's voice rumbled through a translator unit mounted on his chest. Behind him, 6 more Raldek stomped into the bay, their weapons raised. Your cargo is already loaded. Now we take your ship too. The gentle current will fetch a good price. Yala stepped forward, her legs shaking but her voice steady. Please, we have given you everything. Just let us go in the escape pods. Grisnak laughed, a sound like rocks grinding together. Escape pods, in neutral space. You would drift for weeks before anyone found you. No, I think we keep you too. Luraxi make excellent servants, so delicate, so obedient. Pella whimpered behind Yala. The other crew members pressed against the far wall, their large eyes wide with terror. The Luraxi had no experience with cruelty. Their entire civilization was built on mutual respect and fair trade. This was beyond their understanding. Then the alarm started screaming. Grisnak's translator crackled with urgent voices from his ship. Captain, unknown vessels just entered the sector. 5 ships, military configuration. They're hailing us. Ignore them, probably some council patrol wanting bribes. Grisnak waved a clawed hand dismissively. Tell them we're conducting legitimate salvage. Sir, they're not council ships. The computer can't identify their origin. And sir, their weapon signatures are reading off the scale. For the first time, uncertainty crossed Grisnak's face. He activated his wrist communicator. Put them through. A voice came across all channels, speaking the common trade language with a strange accent. Raldek vessel, this is Commander Owen Grant of the Terran Space Service. You are ordered to stand down immediately and release the civilian ship you have boarded. You have 10 seconds to comply. Grisnak's uncertainty vanished, replaced by anger. Terran, never heard of you. This is neutral space. We claim salvage rights. That ship is broadcasting active distress signals. There is no salvage, only piracy. 9 seconds. You dare threaten the Raldek Syndicate, Grisnak roared. We are the strongest warriors in this sector. Turn away or be destroyed. 7 seconds. Yala felt hope surge through her chest. Someone had heard. Someone was coming. But she also felt fear. What if these Terrans were just another predator species? What if they wanted the cargo for themselves? I will execute these prisoners if you interfere, Grisnak snarled. 6. 5 seconds. You're bluffing. No civilized species would risk war over a worthless trade ship. The human voice remained calm, almost cold. 3, 2, 1. The universe exploded with light. The gentle current's remaining sensors showed the space battle in brutal detail. The human ships moved with impossible precision, their weapons firing in coordinated patterns. The Raldek pirate vessel, which had seemed so powerful moments ago, shuddered under the assault. Its shields collapsed in 3 seconds. Its engines went dark in 5. By the 8th second, the pirate ship was drifting, powerless and broken. Grisnak stared at his wrist communicator in disbelief. How? How did you penetrate our shields so fast? Grant's voice answered. Your shields were designed to stop plasma weapons and kinetic projectiles common in this sector. Our weapons were designed to crack fortified bunkers on a planet where everything tries to kill you. Now, release the civilians or my Marines will come get them. Your Marines, Grisnak regained some confidence. I have 6 Raldek warriors with me. We are 3 meters tall and trained for close combat. Your soldiers will die. Boarding teams launch. Through the viewports, Yala saw small craft detach from the human ships. They moved fast, much faster than standard shuttles. They clamped onto the gentle current's hull with magnetic locks, and cutting torches flared to life. Grisnak positioned his warriors at the cargo bay entrance. Let them come. We'll show these Terrans what real strength looks like. The cutting finished. A circular section of hull fell inward with a clang. Smoke from the torch filled the opening. Then figures moved through it, armored shapes that seemed too fast for their size. The lead figure was smaller than a Raldek but moved with terrifying confidence. Sergeant Ana Rodriguez stepped into the cargo bay, her powered armor gleaming under the emergency lights. Behind her, 5 more Marines spread out in a practiced formation. Grisnak fired first. His plasma rifle sent a bolt of superheated energy directly at Rodriguez's chest. The impact would have vaporized a Luraxi. It would have seriously injured most species. Rodriguez staggered back 1 step, looked down at the scorch mark on her armor, then looked up at Grisnak. Rude, she said. Then she moved. Humans were not the strongest species. They were not the fastest, but they were adaptable, relentless, and had spent thousands of years perfecting the art of combat. Rodriguez crossed the distance in 2 seconds, ducked under Grisnak's second shot, and slammed her armored fist into his knee joint. The Raldek captain went down hard. His warriors rushed to help, but the human Marines were already moving. They fought with brutal efficiency, targeting joints and weak points, using leverage and tactics instead of raw strength. Within 90 seconds, all 7 Raldek pirates were on the ground, restrained with mag cuffs. Rodriguez approached Yala, who shrank back against the wall. The human removed her helmet, revealing a scarred face and kind eyes. You're safe now. Are any of your crew injured? Yala could barely speak. You came, you heard us. Of course we came. Rodriguez smiled gently. That's what the distress signal is for. Behind her, more humans entered the bay, these ones wearing medical insignia. They moved carefully among the Luraxi crew, their movements slow and non-threatening despite their size and armor. Yala looked at these strange warriors who had appeared from nowhere, these Terrans who fought like demons but spoke with kindness. She did not understand them yet, but she knew one thing: the galaxy had just changed forever. Dr. Williams knelt beside Pella, moving slowly and keeping his hands visible. The young Luraxi trembled like a leaf in wind. Williams had treated injuries across a dozen worlds, but he had never seen a species so fragile. Pella's bones showed through translucent skin, and her breathing was rapid and shallow. Easy there, I'm just going to scan you, make sure you're not hurt. Williams activated his medical scanner, a handheld device that hummed softly. Pella flinched at the sound. It's okay. It doesn't hurt, see. He ran the scanner over his own arm first. Pella watched with wide eyes. Her species had eyes that took up nearly a quarter of their face, adapted for their dim homeworld. To Williams, she looked almost like a child, though he knew she was likely older than him. "You are very large," she whispered. "Yeah, I get that a lot," Williams smiled. "We humans come from a heavy world makes us dense, but I promise I'm gentle." The scan results made Williams pause. Pella's bone density was less than half of a human child's. Her muscle mass was minimal. A fall from standing height could seriously injure her. A strong handshake could break bones. He glanced at the other Luraxi crew members and saw similar readings. These people were built for a paradise world, not for surviving. Commander Grant entered the cargo bay, ducking slightly through the door. At 6'2", he was average height for a human male, but he towered over the Luraxi. He saw Yala standing with Rodriguez and approached carefully, his movements deliberate and slow. "Captain Yala, I'm Commander Owen Grant. Are you the ranking officer here?" Yala nodded, trying not to show fear. This human was scarred and weathered, his face telling stories of violence survived. His eyes were strange too, set forward like a predator's. "I am. You saved us. I do not know how to thank you." "No thanks needed. You sent a distress call. We answered." Grant gestured to the restrained pirates. "These raiders will be handed over to whatever authority claims jurisdiction here. Your ship has damage but nothing critical. We can escort you to your destination if you'd like." "You would do that for strangers?" Yala's voice held disbelief. Grant looked puzzled. "Of course, why wouldn't we?" Before Yala could answer, an alarm sounded on Rodriguez's wrist unit. She checked it and cursed softly. "Commander, we have incoming transmission. It's from the Galactic Council. They're demanding to speak with you immediately." Grant sighed, "Patch them through." A holographic figure appeared, shimmering in the air. Ambassador Tilva of the Council was a Kalari, a species known for their diplomatic skills. She looked like a tall, slender being covered in iridescent scales. Her voice was sharp when she spoke. "Commander Grant, by what authority do you operate in neutral space?" The Terran delegation was specifically told to avoid contact with other species until proper protocols were established. "We responded to a distress call, Ambassador. Standard procedure for any vessel encountering civilians in danger." The Luraxi situation was being monitored. Council peacekeepers were en route. Grant checked his display. "According to my charts, the nearest council ship is 4 hours away. These civilians would be dead or enslaved by then." Tilva's scales rippled with what might have been irritation. "That is not the point. Your species has a documented history of violence. Earth is classified as a Class 12 death world. Your presence in galactic affairs is already controversial. This incident will cause significant concern." Yala found her voice. "Ambassador Tilva, if I may speak." The hologram turned toward her. "Captain Yala, I am pleased you survived. However, this does not change the situation." "It changes everything." Yala stepped forward, her fear replaced by anger. "Your peacekeepers were 4 hours away. These humans were 30 minutes away. They fought and risked their lives for people they had never met. Where is the controversy in that?" "You do not understand the complexities involved. Humans are dangerous." "The Raldek were dangerous," Yala snapped. "The humans are here." Rodriguez grinned at that, earning a sharp look from Grant. The commander kept his expression neutral. "Ambassador, we acted within the accepted guidelines of spacefaring law. We protected civilians from pirates. If the Council has issues with that, they can file a formal complaint." Tilva's hologram flickered. "This conversation is not over, Commander. The Council will be reviewing this incident thoroughly. You are ordered to transfer the prisoners to Council custody immediately." "Negative. The prisoners attacked a civilian vessel. Captain Yala has the right to press charges under her own legal system. We'll escort the gentle current to Luraxi space and turn the pirates over there." "That is unacceptable." "That's the law, Ambassador." Grant's voice hardened. Or are you saying the Council doesn't respect the legal rights of its member species? The hologram wavered as Tilva struggled for a response. Finally, she spoke in clipped tones. Very well, but this matter will be discussed at the highest levels. Tilva out. The hologram vanished. Rodriguez let out a low whistle. Well, we've definitely made an impression. Grant turned back to Yala. I apologize for that. Politics shouldn't interfere with doing the right thing. Yala studied this strange human commander. He had weapons that could shatter ships. He commanded warriors who could defeat Raldec pirates in seconds. But he spoke of right and wrong like her own people did, like someone who valued life. Your world, she said carefully. The ambassador called it a death world. What does that mean? Grant exchanged glances with Rodriguez and Williams. How did you explain Earth to someone from a paradise? How did you describe a world where the weather could kill you, where animals hunted you, where even the plants could be deadly? It means we come from a harsh place, Grant said finally. A place that taught us to be strong, but it also taught us to value those who aren't, because strength without purpose is just violence. Pella spoke up from where Williams was treating her. Are all humans like you? Rodriguez answered before Grant could. Most of us are trying to be better than we were. Earth wasn't kind to us, so we learned to be kind to each other. Doesn't always work out, but we try. Yala felt something shift in her understanding. These were not monsters. They were survivors who had turned their survival into protection for others. She looked at her crew, saw them relaxing around the human medics, saw Pella actually smiling as Williams showed her pictures of Earth's oceans. We would be honored if you would escort us home, Yala said, and perhaps you would accept our hospitality when we arrive. I think our people have much to learn from each other. Grant smiled, and it transformed his scarred face into something warm. We'd like that, Captain. We'd like that very much. Outside, the human fleet formed up around the damaged Luraxi vessel. Together, they began the journey to Luri, carrying with them the first real friendship between Deathworlders and Paradise dwellers. The journey to Luri would take 3 days. Commander Grant offered to tow the gentle current, but Yala insisted her ship could make the trip under its own power. Pride was something humans and Luraxi apparently shared, even if little else matched between them. On the second day, Yala accepted Grant's invitation to tour the Relentless. Rodriguez escorted her, moving through corridors that seemed designed for giants. Everything was heavy, reinforced, built to withstand forces Yala could barely imagine. Why are the handrails so thick? Yala asked, touching one that was nearly as wide as her arm. Acceleration compensation, Rodriguez explained. When we make hard turns at combat speed, the gravity compensators can't always keep up. These rails can support our full weight plus gear. We grab on and hold tight. Yala did the math in her head. The forces involved would liquefy a Luraxi. You endure that regularly. It's not comfortable, but we manage. Rodriguez led her into the mess hall where off-duty crew members were eating. The room went quiet when they entered. Humans stared at Yala with obvious curiosity, though they tried to be polite about it. A young officer approached, moving carefully. Sergeant, is this our guest, Captain Yala? It is. Captain, this is Ensign Foster. He's been studying your language. Foster's face brightened. He spoke in halting Luraxi, the words clumsy but recognizable. Welcome aboard. We are honored to help you. Yala felt her throat tighten with emotion. You learned my language in 2 days. Foster switched back to the common tongue, embarrassed. Just some basics. The computer helped. I thought it would be polite. This simple gesture touched Yala deeply. The humans had weapons that terrified her, strength that could crush her accidentally, and a reputation that made the entire council nervous. But this young one had spent his free time learning to say welcome in her language. Thank you, Ensign Foster. That is very kind. Rodriguez continued the tour, showing Yala the training rooms. Inside, Marines were sparring in full armor. The impacts of their blows rang like hammer strikes. Yala watched two humans grapple, throwing each other across padded mats with forces that would shatter her bones. "This is training," Yala asked weakly. "Light training, they're pulling their punches." Rodriguez noticed Yala's expression. "Too much." "I am trying to understand. You fight each other for practice." "How else would we learn?" Rodriguez led her to a viewing window. "On Earth, we had to fight everything. The weather, the predators, each other. We got good at it. But we also learned that the best fights are the ones you don't have to have." In the training room, one Marine tapped out. Her opponent immediately released the hold and helped her up. They fist bumped and laughed together. Yala watched this display of controlled violence followed by friendship and found it strangely beautiful. "May I ask about your world?" Yala ventured. "Ambassador Tilva called it a death world. What does that mean in practical terms?" Rodriguez thought for a moment. "Okay, let me give you an example. What's the most dangerous creature on Lurie?" "We have the singing glider. It is a predator that hunts small prey. Its talons can scratch." "Can scratch?" Rodriguez pulled out her datapad and brought up a file. "This is a grizzly bear. It's one of hundreds of predator species on Earth. It weighs 800 kilograms, runs 50 kilometers per hour, and has claws the length of your fingers. It can decapitate a human with one swipe." Yala stared at the image, horrified. "And humans live near these. Some humans hunt them for sport. That is insane." Rodriguez grinned. "Yeah, we get that a lot. But see, Earth made us tough because it had to. Our world tried to kill us every day. Storms that could level cities, earthquakes that split the ground open, diseases that wiped out millions. We adapted or died." "But you also created beauty," Yala said softly. "Ensign Foster learning my language, Dr. Williams being so gentle with Pella, Commander Grant risking his ships for strangers. Where does that come from?" The question seemed to catch Rodriguez off guard. She was quiet for a long moment. "Maybe because we know what it's like to struggle. On Earth, the difference between life and death was often whether someone helped you. We learned to protect the weak because we were all weak once. Even the strongest human is helpless as a baby. We survive because we take care of each other." They continued walking, passing through the ship's agricultural bay where food was grown under artificial lights. Yala saw plants she recognized from galactic trade and some she didn't. Rodriguez plucked something red and round from a vine. "Tomato, want to try it?" Yala took the fruit carefully and bit into it. The taste exploded in her mouth, sweet and tangy at once. "This is wonderful. What world does it come from?" "Earth." "But I thought Earth was all predators and disasters." "It is, but it's also got incredible diversity. We have deserts and rainforests, frozen tundras and tropical islands. The same planet that tries to kill us also gives us things like this." Rodriguez picked another tomato. "I guess that's the human experience. Beauty and danger all mixed together." That night, Yala returned to her ship deep in thought. She found Pella in the navigation room, studying star charts with unusual intensity. "What are you looking at?" Yala asked. "I requested data on Earth from the human ship. Look at this." Pella brought up a planetary scan. "Their world has 98% more gravity than Lurie. Atmospheric oxygen levels would be toxic to us. Temperature fluctuations of 80 degrees in a single day. Seismic activity on 6 continents. And yet they have cities with billions of inhabitants." "They are remarkable," Yala agreed. "Captain, the Council fears them, but I think the Council is wrong." Pella's large eyes were bright with excitement. "The humans didn't become warriors because they are cruel. They became warriors because they had to, and now they use that strength to protect instead of conquer." Yala looked out the viewport at the human ships flying in perfect formation around her damaged vessel. Rodriguez had told her that strength came from protecting the weak. Maybe that was the key to understanding these Deathworlders. They were not monsters. They were survivors who had chosen to be guardians. Tomorrow they would reach Luri, the first human ships to visit a Luraxi world. Yala wondered what her people would think when they saw these towering warriors with their scarred faces and gentle hands. She hoped they would see what she saw, not a threat, but a friend they didn't know they needed. Luri appeared on the view screens like a jewel floating in darkness. The planet was primarily green and blue, with wispy white clouds drifting across 3 small continents. No ice caps marked the poles. No extreme weather patterns scarred the surface. It was exactly what a paradise world should look like. "Beautiful," Grant murmured from his command chair. The bridge crew had gathered to watch the approach, curiosity evident on every face. This would be humanity's first visit to a non-council world, the first real diplomatic contact they had made on their own terms. "Sir, we're receiving multiple transmissions from the surface," Davis reported. "Government channels, news services, civilian bands. Everyone wants to know who we are. Put me through to their central authority." A Luraxi appeared on the main screen, older than Yala with elaborate markings on her translucent skin. "I am Council Leader Vena. You are the humans who rescued the Gentle Current." "Commander Owen Grant, Terran Space Service. We're escorting Captain Yala home as requested." Vena's expression was difficult to read. "We are grateful for your assistance. However, we must ask that your weapons remain deactivated while in our system. We are a peaceful people." "Understood. All weapons offline." Grant nodded to his tactical officer, who began the shutdown sequence. "We mean no threat to your world, Council Leader." "Forgive my caution, Commander. We have been warned about your species by the Galactic Council. They say Earth is a world of violence." Before Grant could respond, another voice cut in. "Council Leader Vena, this is Captain Yala. Permission to address the Council." "Granted." "I have spent 3 days with these humans. Yes, they are warriors. Yes, they are strong and their world is harsh. But they are also kind and honorable. They risked their lives for strangers. They treated my crew with gentleness and respect. I ask that you judge them by their actions, not by council prejudice." Vena was silent for a long moment. "Very well. You may approach Luri, Commander Grant. We will prepare a landing zone for your delegation. I assume you wish to discuss the prisoners and hopefully establish friendly relations between our peoples," Grant added. "We shall see." The transmission ended. Rodriguez, standing at Grant's shoulder, shook her head. "She's scared of us." "Can you blame her?" Grant stood. "We probably look like monsters to them. Davis, send a message to all ships. Shore leave is canceled until further notice. Nobody sets foot on that planet without my express permission. I don't want any accidents." "Accidents, sir?" "A handshake that breaks bones. A friendly pat that causes injury. We're 10 times stronger than they are. One mistake could destroy any chance at friendship." 6 hours later, Grant stood in the shuttle bay with a small delegation. He had chosen carefully. Rodriguez because she had experience with the Luraxi, Williams because medical expertise might be needed, and Foster because his effort to learn the language showed good faith. "Remember," Grant told them, "move slowly, speak softly, treat them like they're made of glass because from our perspective they are." The shuttle descended through Luri's atmosphere. The planet had no orbital defenses, no military satellites, nothing that suggested they had ever needed to defend themselves. Cities sprawled across the landscape, beautiful and open. No walls, no bunkers, no fortifications. They landed in a plaza made of smooth white stone. Thousands of Luraxi had gathered to watch, kept at a respectful distance by what appeared to be civic volunteers rather than security forces. When the shuttle ramp lowered, a collective gasp went through the crowd. Grant descended first, and he understood immediately why they gasped. He was a giant to them. Even moving carefully, each step seemed to shake the ground. The Luraxi nearest to him backed away, fear evident in their large eyes. Council Leader Vena approached with Yala at her side. Venna barely reached Grant's chest. She looked up at him with poorly concealed anxiety. "Welcome to Lurie, Commander Grant." Grant knelt, bringing himself down to her eye level. The gesture surprised her. "Thank you for receiving us, Council Leader. I know our appearance is unsettling. We will do our best to be respectful guests." "You kneel. Where I come from, making yourself smaller shows you mean no threat. I want you to understand that we're not here to intimidate." Venna's expression softened slightly. "Please rise. You honor us with this gesture, but there is no need." The ceremony was brief. The Raldek prisoners were transferred to Luraxi custody, though it took 6 Luraxi guards to restrain what one human marine could handle easily. Official statements were exchanged. Then, Venna invited the human delegation to tour the capital city. Walking through the Luraxi city was surreal. Everything was delicate and artistic. Buildings rose in spiraling curves, more like sculptures than structures. Gardens filled every open space with flowers that released gentle scents. The Luraxi moved through it all with fluid grace, their gossamer clothing trailing behind them. Foster stopped to watch Luraxi children playing in a fountain. They splashed and laughed, completely unafraid. "They have no concept of danger," he said quietly. "Look, no parents supervising, no walls or fences. They just let their kids play." "Why wouldn't they?" Pella had joined the tour as an informal guide. "We have no predators, our weather is stable, even our water is safe to drink anywhere. What is there to fear?" Williams looked troubled. "What happens when something does go wrong, when an accident happens or someone gets sick?" "We help each other, the community provides care." "But what if the threat is external? What if someone like the Raldek attacks?" Pella's expression fell. "Until the gentle current was attacked, we had no answer to that question. We relied on the Council's promise of protection." Rodriguez understood first, but the Council was 4 hours away. "Yes." They continued the tour in thoughtful silence. Grant observed everything carefully. The Luraxi had built a society based on trust and cooperation. It worked beautifully in their paradise world. But the galaxy beyond Lurie was not paradise. It had pirates and predators and species who saw weakness as opportunity. As sunset painted the sky in shades of purple and gold, they gathered in the council chambers. Venna addressed Grant directly. "Commander, your people saved Luraxi lives. We are in your debt, but I must ask, what do you want from us?" Grant considered his answer carefully. "Friendship, trade if you're interested, and perhaps the chance to learn from each other. You've built something beautiful here. Peace, art, harmony. Earth could learn from that, but we could also offer you something in return." "What is that?" "Protection." Grant saw Venna stiffen and hurried to explain. "Not occupation, not control, just the knowledge that if another threat comes, you won't have to wait 4 hours for help." Venna looked at Yala, who nodded encouragingly. The council leader turned back to Grant. "Let me understand. You would defend us, expecting nothing in return." "Friendship is not nothing, and defending those who can't defend themselves is just what you do. At least, that's what we believe on Earth." Outside the windows, Lurie's twin moons rose over the peaceful city. Somewhere in the galaxy, the Council was debating what to do about humanity's unauthorized intervention. But here, in this moment, a bridge was being built between two very different peoples. Venna extended her hand, the Luraxi gesture of agreement. Grant took it carefully, mindful of how fragile she was. "Then let us be friends, Commander, and may we both learn what that truly means." 3 days of peace passed. Grant and his delegation toured Luraxi cultural sites, sampled local cuisine carefully prepared to be compatible with human biology, and engaged in lengthy discussions about technology and philosophy. The humans learned about Luraxi art and mathematics. The Luraxi learned about human history and survival strategies. Both sides found the exchange fascinating. On the 4th morning, alarms shattered the calm. Grant was in a diplomatic meeting when his communicator buzzed urgently. "Commander, this is the Relentless. We're detecting multiple ships emerging from hyperspace at the system's edge. Configuration matches Raldek Syndicate vessels. 14 ships, heavy cruiser class." Grant was on his feet immediately. "Battle stations. Get our people back to the ships now." Venna stood as well, her face pale. 14 ships. We have 3 patrol craft. They are meant for rescue operations, not combat." "They're coming for revenge," Rodriguez said grimly. "We humiliated them, captured their pirates. They want to make an example." Grant's mind raced through tactical options. His 5 ships against 14 was poor odds, but not impossible. The human vessels were more advanced, better armed. But they would be protecting an entire planet of civilians with no shelters, no planetary defenses, no concept of war. "Council leader, I need you to evacuate your coastal cities. Get your people inland, underground if possible." "We have no underground shelters. We've never needed them." "Then improvise. Use subway tunnels, building basements, anything with overhead cover." Grant was already moving toward the door. "We'll buy you as much time as we can." Yala caught his arm. Her touch was light as a feather, but her eyes were fierce. "You would fight 14 ships to protect us. That's why we're here. You could leave, jump to hyperspace and escape. There would be no shame in that." Grant smiled, and it was not a kind expression. It was the smile of a human who had been pushed too far, a Deathworlder remembering why he evolved on a world that bred survivors. "Captain Yala, we didn't come all this way just to run when things got difficult. That's not how humans work." The shuttle ride back to the Relentless took 8 minutes. Every second felt like an hour. Grant reached his bridge to find organized chaos. Displays showed the Raldek fleet advancing, weapons charging, clearly intent on orbital bombardment. "All ships, defensive formation around Lurie. Prioritize protecting population centers. Weapons free. Show these pirates what happens when they threaten civilians under our protection." The human fleet moved into position. 5 ships against 14. The math was not in their favor, but humans had never been good at accepting unfavorable odds. The Raldek commander broadcast on all frequencies, his voice full of rage. "Humans, you have humiliated the Syndicate. You have stolen our prizes. Now you will learn why we rule these sectors. Surrender or we will reduce the planet below to ash." Grant's response was cold and precise. "This is Commander Owen Grant. You are targeting a civilian population. Stand down or be destroyed. You cannot stop us all. Watch us." The battle began with the Raldek fleet firing on the Relentless. Energy weapons and kinetic rounds filled space with deadly light. The human ship's shields flared as they absorbed the impacts, but held. Grant's tactical officer worked the weapons console with practiced efficiency. "Target their weapon systems. I want them disabled, not destroyed. Make them regret this, but give them a chance to retreat." The human ships moved in patterns the Raldek couldn't predict. Formations developed in Earth's brutal naval conflicts, tactics refined through centuries of warfare. The Relentless and her sister ships danced between enemy fire, their weapons striking with surgical precision. 3 Raldek ships lost weapons in the first 2 minutes. 2 more had their engines crippled, but 11 remained, and they were adjusting to human tactics. "Sir, enemy ships are splitting up. They're going for multiple attack vectors." "Let them come. All ships Delta formation, protect each other's flanks." On Lurie's surface, the Luraxi watched the battle in their skis. Lights flashed like stars being born and dying. Explosions bloomed in silence. Their delicate world had become a battlefield, and they could only watch as humans fought to protect them. The tide turned when Rodriguez had an idea. "Commander, their ships are armored for energy weapons, but our railguns use solid projectiles. You want to go kinetic. They won't expect it. Most species abandoned ballistic weapons centuries ago. Grant grinned. All ships switch to railguns. Let's show them some Earth technology. The railguns fired, accelerating tungsten rounds to a fraction of light speed. The Raldeck shields, designed to disperse energy, did nothing against solid matter. Rounds punched through armor plating, disabled engines, shredded weapon systems. In 4 minutes, 6 more Raldeck ships were drifting hulks. The remaining 5 began to retreat. "Sir, should we pursue?" "Negative. Let them go. They'll spread the word about what happens when you attack under human protection." The Raldeck fleet jumped to hyperspace, leaving their disabled ships behind. The battle was over. Grant slumped in his chair, suddenly exhausted. His ships had taken damage, but nothing critical. No casualties. Against 14 enemy vessels, they had won without losing a single crew member. "Commander," Davis said quietly, "we're receiving a transmission from the surface. All of Lurie wants to speak with you." The viewscreen filled with Council Leader Venna's face. Behind her, Grant could see crowds of Luraxi gathering in the plaza. "Commander Grant, we watched the battle. You were outnumbered. You could have fled." "We gave our word, Council Leader. Humans don't abandon friends." Tears rolled down Venna's face, the first display of strong emotion Grant had seen from her species. "Then let it be known across the galaxy. The Luraxi and humanity are allies. We offer friendship, trade, and cultural exchange. And in return, we ask only for what you have already given, protection when we cannot protect ourselves." Over the next weeks, news of the Battle of Lurie spread through galactic channels. Other peaceful species, those who had relied on the Council's distant protection, began reaching out to humanity. The Deathworlders who everyone feared became the guardians everyone wanted. The Galactic Council protested, demanded explanations, threatened sanctions, but they could not argue with results. Humanity had done what the Council could not, arrive in time to matter. Grant stood on the Relentless's bridge, watching Lurie recede as they began patrol routes around the system. His mission had been simple: respond to a distress call. It had become something much larger, a new role for humanity in the galaxy, not as conquerors or traders but as protectors. "Commander," Foster approached with a datapad, 16 more species have requested meetings. They all want to discuss mutual defense agreements." Grant smiled. "Looks like we're going to be busy. Inform Earth Command we'll need more ships out here, and Foster, start learning some new languages. We've got friends to make." Rodriguez joined him at the viewport. "Think the Council will ever accept us?" "Eventually, once they realize we're not here to take over, we're just here to help." Grant looked at the stars spreading endlessly before them. "Earth made us strong. Now we use that strength for something good. That's a legacy I can live with." Behind them, Lurie glowed softly in space, a paradise world that had learned the value of having Deathworlders as friends. The first of many alliances that would reshape the galaxy, all because someone answered a distress call sent to the wrong species.